Greetings and salutations. It is I, Johnny, and here is yet another episode of the Who the Heaven Is I podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all the feedback I've been getting. It's still new to me, and I'm still getting a flow with this thing, but I've created a good habit of consistency. And I'll be honest with you, I want to be totally transparent. It's been challenging sometimes because I got stuff going on in my life, and much like Happy Gilmore, I do my best to block out the bad and harness the good. But sometimes, you have to reframe your mind. And with everything I've gone through in my years of existence here in this realm, the first thing I realized, during the pandemic, I made a list of goals and everything. But, one of those things was wake up happy and grateful. And although yesterday did not go the way I thought it would, even though my efforts were to help those around me and those I'm working with or for, interpretation is everything. But here I am waking up yet another day. And so I'm grateful for that. There's some people that don't wake up today. There's some people that didn't make it to the next day. So I'm going to start today with Another Day. And that is a song that a good friend of mine, Jared Freed, and I wrote back in 2003. I'm not going to sing it. I'm just going to give you the lyrics, and we can go from there. So here are the lyrics that I crafted up for Jared's musical score for this song, and it's called Another Day. And so here comes another day. My troubles slowly drift away. Never thought I'd make it through this life unchanged until I faced my fears. No try, just do. I see a new me. Ah, yes, here comes another day. I used to run the other way, but living in the past will do no good. To succeed, I had to believe I could. I can, I will, move on, and fulfill my dreams. My dreams grow stronger every day, so have some faith and come what may. Everything is possible when you will your way, as long as you have another day. So I share that with you as I had the time to share an hour yesterday with a woman in the community by the name of Judy Batista. Now, Judy is a beam of light, a positive, fiery energy that is kind of contagious. When you're around those people that are just so happy and so go get them and nothing's going to stop them, but yet kind and compassionate, you're like, wow, where do I get some of that secret sauce, right? Now, Judy runs the Warwick Cares group, and they have a big event this Saturday Saturday, May the 4th be with you, at Railroad Green in Warwick from 12 to 4 p.m. And during my discussion with her, first off, Judy quickly reveals, and I knew this, but during the episode that sadly, she lost a son to suicide. And it's one of those things where you would never know it by the way she carries herself. And I'm not going to divulge too much from that episode, but I will put a link in here somewhere when I get the podcast up. But she has rechanneled that energy of the sadness and the depression and all the pain involved when someone loses a child, which I have no idea what it feels like. I can only empathize, because I can only imagine the gravity of something like that. Um, but yet, she carries herself in such a way that you would think that she won the lottery. And I guess, to my point of this song, is that she realizes the importance of waking up in the morning and being here still on this planet and able to function and do what you have to do regardless of everything going on. And man, I literally, the second when she's telling me a story, like, of course, I moved, and so the waterfalls start coming because I'm a very emotional dude, and I have no reservations about crying. There's some men, you gotta toughen up, you gotta do this, gotta do that, and I would say, what's going on with you? Like, it's a human experience to have tears. It's a human experience to go through different emotions, um, pain, sadness, sorrow, and you don't have to sit with it for the rest of your life, like where you just sit there and be so sad and can't move and do anything. Um, but to experience sadness, understand what it does to you as far as like it's a motivator and it's motivated Judy and during the episode I will divulge this that she still gets sad, but she has compartmentalized it and doesn't let it overrun her life. I don't know how she does it because sometimes I'll be honest with you, I get sad, um, and I don't let it overrun my life either, but um, I don't even have a fraction of I can imagine the pain that she's gone through. So it's like you never know who you're gonna meet when you're walking down the street and what they're going through, and that's why I do my best to treat everyone with kindness and grace because no matter what they got going on, no matter how bad they come barking at you, they always got stuff going on. Now, granted, yesterday I also did something that I'm not proud of. I matched someone's energy because they baited me. They kept coming at me and they barking at me and they fight me, and so that's I I was not looking to get into an argument. I only did it for a fraction just to mirror, to show the ridiculousness that arguing gets you in life. And this is the whole thing. I will apologize to that person for my behavior, but I won't be apologize for my words because of the fact that I find personally that if you're peaceful and you're trying to have a conversation with someone, you can have a conversation. But if they start yelling, like I'm at the stage now in my life, I don't get into that. I walk away until we can have a conversation. And my friend Catherine, she had this post on Instagram, and the universe has been very serendipitous to me and putting things in my place where I need to be. And that happened yesterday. First off, it happened a couple days ago that put me back in Judy's path. Like, I've been wanting to contact her as I'm working on these podcasts now because I do want to help her get the word out for mental health awareness and everything. Because it's one of those things that if you can't have a safe mind and feel good about what's going on up there, the rest of the body doesn't function. So serendipitously, I was thinking about her and I ran into her the other day. I think I said this on another episode. But then, Catherine, DJ friend from back in the day, she had this post about a week and a half ago on Instagram. And it was just her meditating in the morning and being at the beach for the sunrises and just talking about the art of letting go when it comes to what's more important, being at peace or being right? And I decided probably during the pandemic that the being right is no longer important. My mental sanctuary and peace of mind is far more important. And so I have found that, sometimes you got to walk away. And people come at you and think, oh, you're a coward, you're running away from things. But there's no purpose getting into an argument with someone when they're not listening, actively listening. And as much as you want to help someone, they have to be in a conversation mode and understanding, literally actively listening and understanding what you're trying to do and why you're trying to help them. And if they can't get to that point and they're just arguing, then where are you going to go with it? It's just not going to happen. So I've done that in a relationship before, and with people that are friends, you walk away, you come back, oh, hey man, I realize this, I realize that, let's get on the same page, let's move on. And so, when it comes to mental health awareness, I think that Judy has this whole methodology. Well, let me get back to the serendipitous thing. So last night when I was trying to go to bed and I couldn't sleep because I had all this thoughts in my head of everything, Catherine's post magically popped up in like her conversation on Instagram popped up at the top of my feed, which is weird because that conversation was like over a week ago. But I watched it again and it made me feel good. And that's why I'm doing this podcast. Maybe there's 99 people listening to this thing and they're all like, whatever, Johnny's just talking, blah, 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 blah. Johnny likes to talk. And I do like to talk, but I like to talk with purpose. And I like to talk with kindness. And I'm doing this because, A, it helps myself, I'll be honest with you, just getting things out of my head. But from the feedback I've gotten, it helps other people too. And if I can just help one person, and I know that one person is definitely out there, there's at least, one person, because I've been having conversations sparked on these conversations, and that's good. Now, if I get the 2 people and 3 people, and that's how you start a movement. There's a great TED talk about how to start a movement, and it starts with that first follower, because sometimes things are different, and I know my thought process can be different, especially when we come from different behaviors that we're grown up with, and learning new behaviors and neuroplasticity is a thing. So it can be done, but it takes the willingness to want to do it, and it starts with the why. Why would I want to do this? So, watching that video from Catherine helped me reframe my mind. And getting back to Judy and the mental health awareness stuff, like, she's been an advocate helping lobby to get 988, an easy number for anyone to call, just like 911 you call real quick when you have a problem that you need either medical or police help, or, it's you need some sort of help. It's emergency, boom. 988 is kind of like emergency for your brain. And what I discovered through my conversation with Judy is that, straight up, it doesn't even need to be if you feel like you're going to hurt yourself or you're depressed or you got something going on. It could be if you're concerned about someone else. It could be you just need someone to talk to. There's so many things that could be helpful. Well, I'll be transparent. During the pandemic, I didn't know about 988, but where I was living at the time, I think there was a number 311 that I called, and they gave me some resources. And it was mainly because things weren't working. I'm going through stuff with my spouse, going through stuff with other people, and I do my meditations, I get at peace, and I try to back off. But sometimes people are going through stuff, and it kind of seeps out of their life and into yours. And that's why people always talk about, people that are trying to work on themselves and get self-help, realize that you need to surround yourself by people that are positive role models, that are going to give you support not beat you down when you fail and say, well, you're gonna be tough, you're gonna be a man, and oh, you just gotta muscle through, because sometimes muscling through will break you down to the point where it's that's the straw that broke the camel back, by pushing too hard when you're mentally and physically unable to process everything going on. And during the pandemic, there was a lot of that. So I called the number. The woman gave me some resources, and it was what it was. I mean, this number wasn't like a talkie number. And I'll be honest with you, this number, you could tell it was run by someone just collecting a paycheck for the most part. But then I zoom out and say, hey, A, something is better than nothing. And B, the pandemic going on, how many other people are calling that number? And that goes to, what I saw during the pandemic. So many angry people like would be going to like Verizon was a good example. I went to Verizon, and I watched all the people show up there just to yell at the person that had really no control over what was going on, and they're just the front line, and they had to take it all. And I witnessed that firsthand at Apple. One of my strengths working at Apple was that I could take the people yelling and screaming when I was a genius, or even beyond. When I say genius, there's a role for the technicians when you do repairs. Because people come in and be like, my phone's broken, I lost my baby's photos, it's all your fault. And I knew they weren't talking to me personally, but they were just upset. And so I learned how to, not take it personally and get to the heart of the matter and try to find a resolution for the customer and get to that next level. And there's sometimes where, it wouldn't end nice, because they would stay angry at me, even though I personally didn't break their phone, but they wanted someone to vent at. They needed that channel, needed that person to yell at and to scream at, and I would take it. But then, I would then try to give them a solution. And in most cases, it would work, because they would realize that, hey, I'm there for them. I just want to help them. And I would reaffirm that and show them, by what I was attempting to do. And so, as I come to the close of this episode, don't forget about Railroad Green. On Saturday, May the 4th, there's going to be resources from the community. There's going to be stuff for the whole family, because what I uncovered with my talk with Judy is it's not just, hey, come here if you have a mental health problem. It's a celebration, because there's so many that have come through the other side, people that might not have made it without support from someone there, and they're still in the game. And then it's also, to me, a celebration for people like Judy that had this really, really horrible experience happen in her life. And, she made a weakness a strength. And, man, I give her the biggest of hug virtually the other day, and I give her all the credit in the world for not only getting through it for herself, but I can only imagine the people she has to deal with on a regular basis that are going through things, that she can be that pillar of hope, because she's gone through it and come out on the other side. But she's not hanging on to the tragedy. She's hanging on to a future for others. And that's all that I try to do. And for some people, I'm able to do it, and other people, it's maybe it's like chemicals, maybe that's the wrong mixture. But I'd like to think that people know deep down inside, my intentions for everyone. I don't have ill feelings. I don't walk around talking smack about people. That's not who I am. And so, if I've done anything to you, anyone out there that's listening to this, then I apologize, and I'm only doing my best with the resources I have. And And I'll be honest with you, my sneakers are kind of religious right now. I got holy sneakers because I'm on a budget, and with everything going on in my life, that's what goes on. But listen, I'd rather have holy sneakers and be a good dude than have the best sneakers and be a mean, angry person that really doesn't bring like peace to the world, because I think the world needs more love, and it really does. And so I do my best to love unconditionally. And now sometimes that means dealing with things that aren't exactly as pleasurable as I'd like them to be. But for my own mental health and for my own sanity, sometimes you need to take a step back and reflect and see where it's going, especially after repeated efforts trying to help certain people. You can only do what you can do, and people have to make the change on their own. And so hopefully that we all live to see another day. Thank you for listening to this podcast. And at the end of every podcast, I throw out a question and a poll, because when you're in Spotify, you can actually go in there and fill out the questions in the poll. And so the question today is going to be, as we keep the mental health awareness thing, how do you relieve stress? This is a good one, because I actually did an episode of the Concha John show in New York City, and I have some funny footage for that. It'll eventually surface somewhere. So how do you deal with stress? And I guess the poll question could be, do you ever feel all alone? Because I've definitely felt there before. And this song, Another Day, that I read to you earlier, was a time where I kind of felt all alone. But my music has been my alchemy. I've written so many songs and turned the pain to pleasure the same way that Judy had done so, with the passing of her son, because life goes on. So how do you deal with stress? And do you ever feel lonely? And those are the questions du jour and the poll question. And thank you for listening to the Who the Heaven Is I podcast. And have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow.